The Hockey East Championships this weekend at the TD Garden. Semifinals Friday night finds UMass Lowell, the defending Hockey East tournament champions, taking on Notre Dame. That's a 5 o'clock start. The nightcap will find Providence and the University of New Hampshire meeting. We are joined now by the coach of your Riverhawks, Norm Bazin. Norm, first, congratulations on a return to the Garden.
Thank you.
Secondly, is it any different going as defending champions than it was seeking a first championship?
Well, I like the sound of it. You could say that as many times as you want. It's enjoyable to have earned the championship last year, and to go back there, we know what to expect this year.
We earned the trip to the Garden in a hard-fought 2-1 series win over the University of Vermont, and again telling us how difficult Hockey East is. But this team, I thought, played extremely well in 3 very tough hockey games.
No question. I thought that series was as grueling as any series we've played in since I've been here. So it featured a little bit of everything: power play goals, shorthanded goals. It featured 1 goal deficits that we had to come back from, 2 goal deficits, disallowed goal, all those types of things that mentally you have to get through. So I was very proud of our guys for showing the resiliency they did.
A 1-goal lead late in the hockey game, and I've said this to you before, I'm continuously impressed with how well this team plays in low-scoring, 1-goal games in late stages of the third period. They show a tremendous amount of poise, and that's through 4 lines and 3 sets of defensemen and goaltenders.
Yeah, well, I'll take that as a supreme compliment. I think they feel comfortable. They've been in enough of these situations before where they're starting to feel very comfortable in that area, and that points to a lot of good things for the future in the playoffs.
When you get to this point in the year, when everything's on the line, when it's win or go home, what separates winners from losers?
Well, I'd like to think consistency throughout the game. You know, it could take 60, it could take more, depending if there's overtime, but consistency and predictability for their teammates are 2 big facets, and last weekend, for the most part, we had that for all 3 games.
We saw Notre Dame earlier in the year. It was around Thanksgiving time, so it was near the start of the Hockey East season. I assume they're a very different team now than they were then, but I also assume that this UMass Lowell Hockey Club is a very different team than they saw back in November.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. At least I know so. People keep referring to this Notre Dame team being vastly different than they were earlier, and I'm sure that's true, and so are we. So I think there's differences in both clubs. Both clubs have improved in certain areas, and it should make for a very good hockey game.
In situations such as this, does a team need to have a difference maker, an individual who can at one moment take over a game, or is too much made of that sort of thing?
Well, I think there needs to be a play made at the right time, or else nobody's going to win. So I think we have depth in our lineup. I think we have several guys that can score at the right time to make the difference. You know, obviously for their team, they have plenty of guys that we need to be aware of, but it's about our game. It's about how we execute our own systems, how we execute offensively as a team, and that's going to dictate whether we come out successful.
Now, it's interesting you say that. I talked for the radio broadcast with various players. Not a single one talked about the opponent. They all talked about paying attention to detail, their responsibilities, their job. And as much as opponents may have big names, it really comes down to a team, and in this case, this team, doing its job rather than responding in some way to something that an opponent does.
Yeah, for us it is, and you can waste a lot of mental energy talking about different opponents and different individuals. But for us, we've got plenty to be concerned about with our own game, and if we execute that game plan, we feel we can be successful.
We hear often when a team wins a World Series or a Super Bowl or a Stanley Cup and then tries to repeat the next year, people say, well, maybe the hunger wasn't there. There was no question this team was hungry last year. Is this team hungry this year?
Oh, we're hungry. There's no question that you wouldn't get this far if you weren't. You know, this season has been even tougher than the last season because so many guys have put personal expectations on each other or themselves. So they've overcome a lot of obstacles. I like our resiliency. I like the way we approach hockey games, and I think we're getting better as the season goes along. And I know it's late in the season, but I do feel our best hockey is ahead of us.
And finally, for you, as a coach in this circumstance, is it special for a coach to be in these situations?
Yes, it is. No different than the players. You've got so very few opportunities in life to play for trophies that when you get to a situation like this, you savor it because they're great experiences. I'm excited for our young men, and I'm excited for my coaching staff also.
Norm, good luck. Let's go get them.
Thank you.
That is Norm Bazin, head coach of your UMass Lowell Hockey Riverhawks. And again, the Riverhawks take on the University of Notre Dame at the TD Garden Friday night, 5 o'clock. It is the Hockey East Tournament semifinal. The winner will move on to the championship game Saturday night. Thank you for joining us.